Hey, what's up guys, Tony here, and we've got some more racing for you, and this is week 6 of the GT3 challenge. This is going to be another retrospective commentary for you guys, and this is at Road America. So we are starting in 6th position. I qualified with 205.7 thereabouts, so it's good enough for 6th position. And so myself and Tim, he's a couple spots behind me, we're in this race. So welcome on board. We're going to be sitting back. We're not going to show the whole race, or I'm not going to show the whole race because it is a 70-minute race. I only show the first half of the race up until I pit, because pretty much nothing happens at the end of the race. So the last half hour of the race is just me passing people in the pits. It's really boring. But the most exciting stuff happens in these first 16 laps. So I hope you guys sit back and relax and enjoy, and like always, I'll jump in here and there and just kind of throw in my thoughts as the exciting stuff happens, what I was thinking. And so anyways, let's get on to the race. Like I've mentioned in commentaries before, usually in the first couple laps, I do my best to kind of keep not keep my distance, but I play it. I don't race as aggressively as I do later on in the race. 1, the tires are cold. 2, everyone's really bunched up, and you'll see like right there, that guy, he likes to brake before that turn. I can't remember if that is specifically a McLaren thing or if that's just him. I don't really remember braking. I just remember letting off and going through that corner with McLaren. Anyways, I'm doing my best to keep my distance because I don't want to rear into people like right there, have to jam the brakes real quick. So you'll see that I like to keep my distance, but at the same time I don't want to lose the group of the pack. I don't want to lose these guys because we're all actually pretty tight. I mean, if you look in front of me, it's 5, 4, 3, 2 is up there, and then the leaders is coming to the crest of the hill right there. So already we see the 1 and 2 guys starting to move away from the pack, so I don't want to lose the pack and suddenly be struggling to keep up, especially in this area right here. If you guys have raced this track, this is a great area. It's a draft and pull some time, so you don't want to lose the pack. But going back on that guy's braking right there, he did that little brake before going on the turn, and you can see like last lap and right here, I'm getting the impression that I could pass this guy, and I just got to really look for the opportunity to pass. So that's going to be looking for, the first target is right here in front of me. So I'm hoping right here to get a good run off this one, that turn, so I can get into this next turn and hopefully have the momentum through this turn to be able to take this McLaren. And I didn't get the speed out of that turn that I wanted to, but I'm in a position where I know that I can outbrake him on the inside, and I'm close enough where I feel it's safe enough to make this more bold maneuver. Kind of bully my way in there, but it's not a, from my perspective, it's not really a dirty move. It's just I can outbrake him going in that corner. So as a McLaren driver, you should expect, if you have a roof that close to you, it's going to happen. And I think he did, because he was moving over. Probably spotter let him know that I was going to be there, but he probably knew that was going to happen. Right here, though, this is the tricky part. My setup is, on this track, I was running like a 13 or 14 for a wing angle, so I was running a really high wing angle. So I don't have the top end speed. So you'll see him, he wants to come in, he's drafting me this lap, and next lap you'll see him in my rearview mirror moving in for a pass. Well, at this point, I'm pretty pleased that I'm catching up with these rest of these cars. I kind of got worried, like I mentioned earlier, that I might be losing the pack when everyone starts to sort of, you know, distance themselves after the first couple of laps. But I'm behind this Monster Energy roof, and again, it's the same thing. If I can get a good exit speed out of this next turn, then I have a good chance of overtaking this car. And right here, he braked, he checked up a little bit, and I have the mile-an-hour advantage, so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and squeak on by this guy. He caught up kind of quick, though. I was really surprised. This right here, I didn't know what the hell happened at first. I was like, Jesus Christ, I thought the guy actually had turned into me, like he tried to make that turn early. But when I watched the replay, and I'll show it at the end, what happens is under braking, he catches like a smidge of the grass, and it sent him out of control, and so he went and, you know, veered right and smashed into my front fender. Actually, hit me right on the door. And at this point, I was really concerned that my car was not only aerodynamically damaged, but just damaged. So this next lap, I'm a little apprehensive about the status of my car. And so what I do is, what usually happens is I lose confidence in the car if my car is damaged, because there have been times where I'll actually push the car a little too hard, the damaged car that is, and you spin out and you lose more safety rating than if you were just taking it easy and just gotten through the race. But here we are 4 laps into the race, and so far my car is not really showing me any signs that it's damaged, and I'm not sure yet if my car is aerodynamically damaged, if it's going to keep me from running fast lap times. So this lap and the next couple laps, I slowly gain my confidence back in my car, especially since I'm able to catch up to some of these guys who have several seconds of a lead on me now. And behind me, I've got that McLaren still, so I'm still worried about him. But I'm actually doing a better job now. And I mentioned this sort of a common theme in the last several commentaries about not focusing on those cars in my rearview mirror. I'm really starting to focus more on what's ahead of me and not what's behind me. And so I've been doing a good job with that as of late, and it has kept the pressure down, to be honest. Like the race that I had on Tuesday, I was very surprised at how comfortable I was with the position that I was in. So, you know, it seems like it's working. Like the concentrating on what's in front of you is really starting to work. Or for me, at least. So at this point, this race, I'm like, okay, cool. I got a good distance on McLean. I shouldn't die hard. I got a good run off that McLaren, and I'm slowly catching the roof in front of me. This guy who's in 3rd place. So I'm feeling pretty confident about this. Right about this point in my car, I'm like, okay, my car is cosmetically damaged. My lap time's at 206.1. That's really close to my qualified time of 205.7. So I already know that the aerodynamic damage that I was concerned about isn't that big of a factor. I'm running really close to my qualified time, which is, for me, it's pretty good. Everyone usually runs slower than their qualification time, so I'm running slower than that. But it's close. It really is. It's within, you know, it's under a second from what I qualified at to what I'm running. So, you know, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in business. And not only that, but I'm watching the relative box. The car in front of me, I'm slowly pulling on this guy. So I'm very, very confident at this point that the car is structurally sound. It's not going to do something unexpected on me, and suddenly I'm going to find myself spinning out when you know, taking a turn as hard as I normally would. So it's a very big confidence boosting lap that was for me. And like I said, just to be pulling on this guy as well, to know that, okay, yeah, I'm reeling this guy in. The other thing is, oh, and you'll see right here the smoke. That is the car from position number 2, so he's out of the race now. So now I find myself in 3rd place, just like that. So we got 3rd place for me, 2nd place for the roof in front of me, and now we got a real race on our hands. Because at first, you know, I was gonna be fighting for a podium spot, and now I'm like, okay, now we're fighting for a second place finish, and I'm reeling this guy in, so I'm feeling very, very confident about my current standing right now. So that was a good sign right there. So I'm losing just a little bit coming out of that corner. So I was able to pull even closer to him. And again, you know, this is sort of a recurring theme on this track, at least for me. If you're in sight of someone and you can get a good run off of this corner, it does wonders for catching them on these long straights. And the only other factor there is the wing angle. Like I said, I'm running a high wing angle, and you never know what the car in front of you can do until you're pretty much next to them. And this right here will become a back and forth battle. Not to spoil it for you, but it is a really good, at least I think it is a really good battle, back and forth battle between myself and the guy in front of me. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but it was pretty good. It was a very, very exciting battle, so we'll get right back to it. And that's exactly what I'm talking about right here. I have the speed coming out of that corner. I'm on the wrong side though. He defended himself really well by putting himself on the inside. But he doesn't fight for this corner, which surprised me, to be honest. You know, he's on the inside. He could have easily outbroke me going into that inside, but he didn't. He let the corner go. He's a smart driver because, you know, he's, I don't know, like 0.2 of a second behind me going into this long straightaway, so he's going to be able to draft me. So fighting over that one corner, which may or may not cause an accident, he took the smarter approach, and so here we go. We're sitting, we were sitting sort of neck and neck, but there he goes, he's pulling ahead of me. And it's at this point that I understand that he's running a far lower wing angle than I am, because when I was neck and neck with a monster car, I wasn't able to pull on him as rapidly as this guy was on me. So I understand, like, okay, my wing angle is higher than his by probably several notches. So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I've already caught him once. If I catch him again, what I need to do is I need to get ahead and stay ahead of him and and put enough distance between us so he can't, you know, collapse that lead that I have on these long straightaways, especially if he's drafting me. That's the biggest factor. When he's drafting me, it's ungodly how quickly he catches up, or he can catch up. So that's my game plan, is in the back of my head I'm thinking, okay, so if I get ahead of him again, like I decided what I'm going to do is, you know, go here, brake real hard, take him on the inside, and he gives up the corner again. Again, it's a long race. He understands just like I do. It's a long race, and that was a pretty aggressive move. Probably one like you do in a sprint race, but in a longer 70-minute race, probably not necessary. I more than likely could have gotten him right here, but my goal was, as I just mentioned, is to get ahead of him and put some distance between him and I, and that's what I've done right now. I was able to finally achieve what I wanted. It's not as much time as I want, but it's a starting point, and I know through these last 8 laps I've been catching this guy, so I know that I'm not going to have a problem putting distance between him and I, but you got to start somewhere, and you might as well start early. Yeah, and this is the part that I was kind of concerned about, because I'm being a little defensive right now by driving off the normal line. You know, he's down to my left, and so when I get to a point where I know he's not going to be able to draft me going up into this turn 1, I fall back in line into the race line, and so I know at least through these first 2 turns I'm pretty safe, and the only thing I'm worried about is the second straightaway coming up here after turn 2, and then of course there's a long straightaway going into that backstretch of the track. But looking in the rearview mirror, I'm like, okay, cool, he's a good distance away from me, and he's not hounding me in my ass, so he's not deliberately trying to just constantly stay in my draft. But he is pulling on me, though. That's the thing. Like, shit, he's really pulling on me. And I know, as I said once already, that I need to make sure that I have at least, gosh, I think it's a little over a half a second lead on someone, especially going in that main straight, the back straight towards the start-finish line. You need to have a decent, like probably, you know, 8/10 of a second or so, like, you know, of a lead, or else they'll just reel you in and they'll be able to pass you. It's a great place to pass people if they're running high wing angles like I am. So I got a little overzealous right here and broke late for that corner, got in really late on that corner. And this guy, if you saw in my rearview mirror, I had a pretty sizable distance. I wish I would have been paying attention to the relative box. I didn't actually know, but it was almost, or maybe it was about a second, about a little, maybe over a little over a second gap between him and I. And he was able to pull that into probably less than a second, which is, you know, like, again, it's a go-K buffer, but second it starts to creep in below, say, a half a second, then I'm starting to get concerned, especially in these long straightaways. So here I go. I screw up again on that last corner, and this guy was close enough where, you know, he's able to make the pass, and which sucks because, you know, now suddenly here I am sitting in 3rd place again, but I'm right on his ass. So I'm confident, you know, I'm confident that I will go ahead and pass him again. The problem though is he just sucks. It's like I did all that work. I had 2 good laps overall, and I screwed up on the same corner twice in a row, and all that time, all that distance that I put between him and I was eaten up because he's no slouch. You know, he's in 2nd place for a reason, and we're in a pretty good split. It just sucks. You can't make those mistakes if you expect to, you know, hold on to your position, especially on a track like this. And you saw me, I was kind of peeking. I thought about going in for that corner, and it's like, I'm not going to try it because it's really a precise corner. It's the way that I take it. If I mess up the braking, I can go off track, and I'll end up the angle which I would have taken that corner. I would have plowed right into him. So, you know, it's like, hey, it's a long race. I'm not going to risk a possible accident on lap 11 of, you know, like 30-something. So what'll end up being like 30-something laps. I'm not going to risk it. We just got a long race ahead of us, and more than enough opportunity to pass this guy. I've already caught him once. I've already passed him numerous times already. So I'm confident that I could do it again. So there's no need to put us both into a situation where we might have our days ended early over an overly aggressive pass. So this is kind of what I've been talking about. It's just I can slowly reel him back in, and so making, you know, unnecessary passes when I know that that I can pull him back in and do it in a safer manner is it was just one of the things that I was thinking about. And the only problem that I'd have is though hitting these long straightaways. You know, he had the low wing angle, so I wouldn't pull on him as much as he'd pull on me. So I might gain a couple of tenths, where he might grab 3 or 4, and almost to a half second. Like, holy shit, man! Like the low wing angle, you know, it's a big deal when you start drafting somebody, and that's one of the things that, like I said earlier in the video, it's just it's in the back of my mind. I realize that for me to stay ahead of this guy, once I do get in front of him again, I need to make sure that I don't give an opportunity to catch up, which I did several laps ago when I had messed up on those last 2 corners, 2 laps in a row. It's like I gave the man an opportunity to get back in this race. And so here I am on his butt again. And the next time I pass him, I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So I need to focus up on that last corner. Because the rest of the track, it's pretty much all muscle memory now. But that last turn, since the first day that I've ever raced here, that last turn has plagued me. And I have tried different approaches to that corner. And I've been successful in some. There I am, you see me being a little bit aggressive. And I'm like, yeah, I gave up on that one. I'm not going to do that. Which is a bad thing because I let him get a little bit ahead of me because of the fact that I was off the racing line. If I would have stayed on the racing line, I'd be right on his ass right now, going into a corner that I've been very successful at. So, it's just those, sometimes you get those over-aggressive tendencies in my head, and it happens. But this is what I'm talking about. I got good exit speed off of that corner that I've been really successful at passing people, and so now here I can go in for an inside pass. And again, just to try not to beat a dead horse, but the second I pass that guy, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to hit this corner. Boom, got it, thank you. But the other thing is that I need to get ahead and stay ahead and not give him an opportunity to catch up. Just run a clean race from here on out until I have to pit. And I should be able to, keep away from this guy because I've already shown that I can catch him on multiple occasions. I've already shown that I can catch him. It's just a matter of staying ahead of him and not screwing up. All right, coming up on this last section of the track, I'm looking behind me. I see that he's pretty far behind me now. I'm really happy with where he's at, and it is at this point in time that my spotter tells me that I have 5 laps of fuel remaining, and so now I need to start considering my pitting strategy. Like, when do I want to pit? When should be a good time to pit? Because I don't race that many endurance races, and so having a good pitting strategy is something that I need to develop. So I was contemplating on when do I want to pit, and knowing that after this lap I've got 4 laps of fuel left, I was thinking, okay, what I would like, ideally what I'd like to do is, I was expecting the leader to pit soon. Like, okay, so if he pits soon, I want to pit when the leader pits. But the leader wasn't pitting. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, I'm gonna run this lap, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pit next lap. And my strategy being that if I pit early, that means that I can get back on track and perhaps catch these guys while they're pitting. So that's my thought process. Now, like the times that I've had to do a pit stop, it's with the leader. You know, like if I'm on the lead lap, you know, in sort of striking distance of the leader, like, okay, I'll pit with leader. That seems to be pretty standard protocol. But if the leader's like 17 seconds ahead of you or more, you know, it's one of those things like, well, I mean, I could pit like whenever. You know, so there's part of me that goes, okay, well, there's actually several factors involved in why I decided to pit. Well, I'm going to pit on this lap. My setup won't let me take the maximum amount of fuel in my car, so I'm like maybe 2 gallons short of the maximum, because it causes my setup to fail tech. So I can't take maximum fuel. So I'm a couple of gallons shy. So that's a bummer. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to pit early because I can't take on that much fuel. And the other thing is that, like I said, it's just, you know, like I just don't know. Pitting is sort of something that we race more sprint races in iRacing, these longer races. You know, it's just something we don't have to really deal with all that often. You know, I know a far more experienced iRacer will more likely have the experience and the knowledge to know when to pit or when best to pit, but it just seems like a gamble. And the thing that sucks is that I pit this lap, the very next lap the leader pit. So I'm finishing this particular lap with 3 gallons or 3 laps worth of fuel remaining. And when I look at that now, that's about 6 minutes of racing. So I could have pumped out another 6 minutes of racing and gotten back in with fumes. And that's actually what the guy behind me does. He races until he's damn near out of fuel, and then he pits. And so he was the leader for a handful of laps before he actually had to pit. So pitting strategy is something that I need to start to work on. Yeah, because this is, you know, I go from 2nd place to, I think, 10th or 11th position by the time I'm out of the pit. And the other thing that I do in the pits is I take a 30-second, which now sort of in hindsight I wouldn't have to do it. I shouldn't have done it, but I took an extra 30 seconds because of the fact that I wanted to fix the damage on my car. I wanted to maximize my aerodynamics for the rest of the race. But I'm able to fight my way back from 10th position back to 4th, and then I finished in 4th. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys the lap 2, or what it was. I think it was like lap 3, the guy when he lost control. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I shall talk to you guys later.